Hello, good morning and welcome to Newsroom here on GHOne Television with me, Awisi Dede Ijange. Let's take a look at our headlines this afternoon. Education Minister to meet leadership of CTEC today as indefinite strike enters day 2. We will hear from the teachers who say mere words will not suffice this time around. And also in the bulletin, political marketer urges the NPP to hit the ground running in Pandai and not focus solely on the matter in court, citing the Ablekuma North by-election example. And in business, State Housing Company Limited rolls out 15% discount to debtors in a bid to rake in millions of cedis owed the company by individuals and institutions. And elsewhere, Tanzania cancels Independence Day celebrations after election unrest. We have detailed stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me. Thank you so much for choosing us this morning. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here in Accra, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at GHOne TV. My name is Awisi Dede Ijange. This morning, Member of Parliament for Pandai, Matthew Nyendam, is hopeful the Court of Appeal will see merit in his appeal and quash the decision of the Tamale High Court ordering a rerun of parliamentary elections in the constituency. This comes after the trial judge upheld the petition by the NDC's 2024 parliamentary candidate for the same constituency over irregularities in results from some 41 polling stations during the 2024 elections. Now, speaking to GH1 News, Matthew Nyendam, while describing the court's decision as unsurprising, raised concerns over the culture of abuse of incumbency in by-elections.
You know, if you talk about the NDC saying that we should meet them on the ground, 2024, I met them on the ground. Was it not on the ground that we voted? I met them on the ground. I didn't meet them in the sky. I met them on the ground. You say today they are speaking confidently and saying all those things because they think that they are incumbent and they think that they have the state behind them. They have state resources behind them. They have the machinery behind them. And for that matter, they are saying whatever they are saying. What I'm saying is that today, if elections are going to be held in Pandai and it is a normal election, I won't have a problem. If I know very well that something untoward went on and they are calling for election, I won't have a problem. I know genuinely that I won that election with 3,734 votes. But whatever be the case, if I'm destined to be part of the 9th parliament, nobody can take me out of that.
Let's have a conversation on this matter. Dr. Tutubuahi is a political strategist and he joins me on phone on this particular issue. Good to have you on the program, sir. The petitioner...
You know, if you talk about...
Hello, sir. I was actually about to ask my first question, but I wanted to find out from you. You know, the petitioner had concerns about just 41 polling stations out of the 152 that we know of that constituency. One would normally expect just a rerun for these 41 that is in contention, but the High Court has its ruling. With your expertise as a political strategist, how significant is this ruling for a rerun as to regard to the political dynamics of that particular constituency?
So, let me give you your view. I think that the issue under contention actually what led to the court.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
I'm struggling to hear you. Can you please speak up?
So what I'm saying is that,
Right.
the petition was anchored on the fact that there were irregularities, within four constituent police stations, 41 police stations in the Andai, constituency, which is made up of about 150 police stations. And that there were some clean sheets whose recording, were not consistent and have called. So for me, there were two options that the court would have, probably used. The first one has to do with the fact that either the 41 police stations will be recounted, under strict security, or, they could, as it were, learn from the Abdulkamanov experiences and probably say that we are going to hold, elections within the 41 problematic, polling stations. So, if this was done, probably it could have served some, fair, purpose. Because what I know is that when judges take, on a matter, normally you choose that has been chosen. You should, to come up with decision so that at least, posterity could get them. To say that the entire 150 plus the police stations results have been cancelled, including the ones without funding, then I think that there should be mentally something wrong. And I feel that probably the court could have considered that.
So in essence, you're sharing in the same sentiment that this ruling is quite extreme.
Relating it to Abdulkamanov, I think that it's a kind of an extreme decision that has been taken.
Hello, Doc.
Yes. I think, if you compare it to what we saw in Abdulkamanov, I saw that, yes, that has been an earlier thing.
Okay. Yesterday, the parliamentary candidate in this whole situation, Martin Yindam, spoke to us, and he raised concerns about the seeming culture of abuse of incumbency during by-elections. In your view, with your expertise, do you think his concerns of abuse of incumbency during polls like that are valid?
Yeah. It has always been the case, and that is why I feel that, there is something fundamentally wrong with our politics and its relationship with our electoral strategy. And that we should be able to decouple, politics interest from, electoral interest, right? If we allow the political interest to take over, the electoral processes, then the values of our elections will be lost. The values underpinning our democracy will be eroded. And I feel that we wouldn't be doing ourselves any good. Because obviously what it means is that, look, we would always, the ability to win an election is dependent on as to whether you are in government or not, right? Certain precedents have happened. In certain incidences, we have seen that, yes, when the system is allowed to run by itself, fairness prevails. And so I want to believe that if you are able to decouple, political interests from our electoral, structures, and there is no, influence political influence to probably take decisions to someone's favor, I don't think that it will help. I think that it will help to a large extent. But when we have, a situation where, every by-election, your ability to win is dependent on whether you are a sitting government or not. That one, then it means that you are headed for trouble.
Okay.
Right. So I think that we need to, as a country, be able to, because definitely we need a very good president who has the legitimacy of the people. We need a legislature that is equally, strong, backed by, the spirit of the people. All right. But if we are doing these things to ourselves, and you have MPs who don't actually have the mandate of the people, but such individuals have been forced down the truth of their constituents, I don't think that it will help our democracy going forward.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor, for making time to speak with us. That was Dr. Bernard Tutubuayin. He's a political strategist speaking to us there. Let's do some education-related stories. Leadership of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC, will meet the Education Minister, Haruna Iddrisu, and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission later today over their strike. CTAC declared the strike yesterday over government's failure to fully implement NLC's arbitral award issued on May 2nd, 2023. In a statement, CTAC emphasized that the NLC's award is legally binding and the government's failure to implement it constitutes a breach of labor law and collective bargaining principles. The association also says it has exhausted all avenues for dialogue and will not resume lectures or supervise students on STS until all grievances are fully addressed. Max Obunu is the president of CTAC.
I had a call from the Princorp chairman that the minister had asked to meet him tomorrow. Initially, it was supposed to be 9, but we thought that the 9 was too early because we are all not in Accra. So they have agreed a few minutes ago that we could meet at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So God's willing, tomorrow, 2 p.m., we'll be meeting the Minister for Education. GTEC also invited us, but they were also asking for 2 p.m. So we need to communicate to them. Probably if they would join in that meeting, then we just have one meeting and then see if the issues could be resolved once and for all.
This is still Newsroom here on GHOne Television. We will be back after this break. You're welcome back to the program. Let's do more stories now. Lawyer and NDC MP for Yendi, Abdul Fattah Al-Hassan, says he is unhappy with the Attorney General's position on Wesley Girls' religious rights issue. Speaking on GH today, he argued that the Education Minister who sits in cabinet has already made government's position clear that students should be allowed to practice their faith. You will recall that Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Justice Ramsay, has filed a formal response to a Supreme Court suit challenging what plaintiffs describe as discriminatory religious policies at the school. In response, the AG refuted claims that Wesley Girls' School is acting unlawfully, insisting that the school founded and operated by the Methodist Church of Ghana is permitted to enforce rules consistent with the Methodist principle. Now, reacting to the development, Yendi MP Al-Hassan Jofa noted that it is essential for the government to make its stance on the matter clear.
I have information to the effect that this was filed by the Deputy AG, Justice Ramsay, and that the AG himself is not privy to the content of it. I have inside information. You see, we have a government, and the government must be clear on this. What is the cabinet? What is the position of cabinet on this? In April this year, the Minister for Education was clear on this. He addressed the public on this issue, where he said that the students in schools, in all schools, should be allowed to practice the faith that they believe in. They should be allowed to manifest it just as enshrined in Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution. He is a member of cabinet. Now today we have a position taken by another member of cabinet which goes contrary to what the Minister for Education. So we are not happy, especially as even Muslim MPs. We are really, really not happy about this position. And you see, for some of us, we are Muslims before even we are politicians. I am a Muslim before even you can talk of NDC. And I cannot see this issue being handled the way it is currently being handled. We would not allow it to go that way because we have to be clear. I have not seen anywhere. But if you go and find out from where they allow Muslims to practice their faith, or you go to Hamas, where they allow Christians, to what extent does that create disorderliness on the campus?
Well, another lawyer, Kwame Jantwa, also insisted that preventing the students from practicing their faith amounts to discrimination.
If I'm a Christian and I want my child to go to a Muslim school, I shouldn't expect the school to build a church for my child. Likewise, if I'm a Muslim and I want my child to go to a Christian school, I should not expect the school to build a mosque for my child. However, I expect the school to allow my child to practice their faith. Period. No big deal. If they stop the child from practicing their faith, then that is discrimination. Shouldn't be allowed. We all have to abide by the basis of the school or the basic tenets of the.
However, NPP Communications Officer George Ayisi says Wesley Girls is a Christian-based institution and should be allowed to operate according to its tradition. He cautioned that altering the rules could open the floodgates for various religious groups to demand similar accommodations.
Wesley Girls thought that if they allowed that freedom to go on the way the students wanted it, it's the fasting time. I think that issue had to do with
especially when they have to before the commencement
you get
of
it.
the
What
fast.
it means is that the pantry people must there can be arrangement, but if you want to impose it, it becomes problematic. That is by this legal trajectory. And so if they go and fortunately it's like the Attorney General is supporting the position of the school. Otherwise, if we go and then they say, oh, because of Article 21, freedom of the individual, can have their way, then what happens to the institution? Then it means the Baha'i faith. Students who belong to the Baha'i faith, students who are Christians, the Buddhists and co must all begin to assert their rights. Then it becomes a challenge. The institution must be protected to go by the ethos of their Ghana Education Service and then that particular institution.
Well, the Supreme Court has been reacting to this particular matter, and our man, our legal affairs correspondent, Mutala, was in court, and he brings us up to speed on what happened today. Mutala, good to have you on the program. Run us to speed on what happened today.
Well, I would say today just a brief Supreme Court sitting, and the matter that appeared or came before the Lords is to the effect that the Attorney General wants the previous statement of case filed on behalf of the Attorney General and Ghana Education Service replaced. The applicant, the plaintiff in the matter, did not oppose to that particular request straight away. The 7-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by Justice Gabriel Kwaman, agreed and had that if the court will make the point that within 7 from now, the AG will have to make the new statement of case available or filed at the registry of the court. What the court has also said is that the plaintiff will have the right to reply after the Attorney General has them. But one interesting thing that the court was of the view that the matter before the court would have to be looked at is for the governors of the Board of Governors of the Wesley Girls Senior High School to respond to the allegations made or the writs filed by the plaintiff, the allegations of abuse of rights, of religious rights of the student, the Muslim student particularly. They have to respond to that within 14 days. What the court is saying that after 14 days, if they did not reply, it is assumed that whatever allegations that have been made by the plaintiffs are true. And so the court will proceed to make a determination to that. There's another leg of the case which has to do with Democracy Hub filing to join as a friend of the court, as an amicus curiae. In fact, the Attorney General did not oppose to that. The plaintiff also did not oppose to that. The court has allowed the Democracy Hub to join. However, it is subject to the completion of the processes filed by the plaintiff and the defendant in the case, i.e., the court is saying that Democracy Hub can only join this particular action after the memorandum of issues have been filed by the plaintiff and the defendant in the case. And again, they have filed all their processes. That is the only time that Democracy Hub can join. Whatever processes before then, Democracy Hub cannot be part of it. So briefly, this is what has transpired before the 7-member panel of the Supreme Court in relation to the Shafiq Osman's rate, which is raising some allegation in respect of Wesley Girls Senior High School about religious right violation of some Muslim students.
Thank you for that update. Mutala, kindly hold on for me because we know there are some other stories coming up from the court. We would want to pick some comments on social media, and Anama is in the studio with the comment people have been saying on social media on this particular matter. Anama.
Well, people are talking a lot about this. Is it about rights? Is it about religion? We have Mami Yesu who says, as they should, you can't go to law school and complain that they're not teaching medicine or engineering. We also have Abdur Rahman. I'm a Muslim. The danger of gloating over this victory is that the legal process is still active. And as with law, all of this can turn on its head. The plaintiff is not questioning the heritage and identity of the school. It's asking for others' rights to be upheld. Wrong. We also have Nana say, in Prempeh College, Muslims are very respected, though it's a Methodist Presbyterian school. I remember the headmaster once held a party for them during their Eid. They were never forced to attend any church service. Not all mission schools behave like this, I beg. You can uphold the Methodist values and still allow students from other religious groups to worship in their beliefs in peace. We also have here Efo Elom. You guys are being lawless and the AG is also complicit, he feels. Your Christian heritage does not supersede the 1992 Constitution, which guarantees the freedom of worship and association. Rasford as his voice. You can uphold the Methodist Christian character and still allow other students from other religious backgrounds to also worship in the spirit of togetherness and religious tolerance exhibited by the state. We have Mr. Emmanuel. Don't rejoice. The Attorney General is not the court. The court hasn't decided. You want your school to be sponsored by government, but don't want Ghanaians with different religious beliefs to practice it. Your people aren't serious, he says. We also have here, mission schools should let all students and parents sign a waiver to follow all prescribed rules before admission. Failure to follow these rules through defiance and or legal recourse will lead to automatic withdrawal of said award from the school, Christian or Islamic schools as such. We also have Aloysius. Justice and identity can go together. But Psalm 89 verse 14 reminds us that righteousness and justice are the foundation of any stable house. If a school is funded by taxpayers of many faiths, the space should reflect everyone. That is how we protect both heritage and national peace. We also have ethos. There is a reason why GHOne has been in existence for almost 190 years. It is rooted in Methodism as founded by Reverend John Wesley. If anyone can't attend services and recite the Apostles' Creed, there are plenty of Islamic and other schools to choose from. It's that simple. We have Anita. I think the core argument here is that the state funds WGHS. So if the state stops funding them and the church fully funds it, then does the issue go away? She's asking there. Kofi Chirma. I don't have a problem if Wesley Girls wants to enforce their Methodist Orthodox practice on every student. Just make sure you fund the school without taxpayers' money. You can't take taxpayers' money from Muslims, Catholics, SDA, Pentecostals, etc., and want to enforce your views. We also have Yarrow here. There are quite a number of Islamic schools in the country, but they never treat Christian students in this manner. Quite refreshing to know that not all Christians support the Methodist Church. And that is our last comment on the matter. Let's see what happens as they go to court. My name is Nanama Akwa. Awisi Dede, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Nanama, for bringing us what people have been saying on social media with regard to that particular matter. But let's stay a little longer in court, because the High Court in Accra has directed the former Deputy Executive Director of the National Service Authority, Gifty Oware-Mensah, to file the list of all witnesses she intends to call by December 17, 2025. The order forms part of preparations ahead of a scheduled case management conference on the same date. Oware-Mensah is facing charges relating to illegal loss of 38 million cedis to the state in the National Service Goals Name scandals. Our legal affairs correspondent Mutala is on Zoom to bring us more on that particular matter. Mutala, what more are we learning on this issue?
So I would say that in respect of this matter, it was scheduled for case management conference where the parties would then have to sort out all the processes filed by the Attorney General and, of course, know the number of witnesses that the state will be relying on in prosecuting her. Now, when the matter was called, the Director of Public Prosecution indicated that the order was for them to file their disclosures by the 19th of November. However, they have some few hitches, which has to do with some of the witnesses not able to or not available to sign their portion of the witness statement to make it complete. However, they have been able to file almost all the witness disclosures and the witness statement, but will need about a week to complete the order they need to file. And for that matter, the reason they were unable to complete the processes as directed by the court. Justice Aldrich Okuvite, after listening to the prosecution, was of the considered case management conference will have to be adjourned. The court is also making an order on the accused person, Gifty Oware-Mensah, and her lawyers to file at least the list of witnesses they intend to call, if any, if it comes to the fact that prosecution is able to prove beyond reasonable doubt and that the onus will be on her to open her defense. The court said that file the list, file the proposed list. When we get to that bridge, we already know that the court has in its fold copies of witnesses that you'll be relying on just so to make case management processes complete. To be completed. I must say that for the first time, Gifty Oware-Mensah came to court from home, and it is the second time that she's appearing before the court after she was granted bail, and she has met all her bail conditions when she appeared today with her lawyers.
All right. Thank you so much, Mutala, for giving us updates from the court. Let's do other stories now. Managing Director of the State Housing Company Limited, John Bauer, says President Mohammed's caution to appointees over scandals is not one to be taken lightly. He avers that, contrary to claims by some element of the opposition that the caution is mere rhetoric, President Mahama remains committed to maintaining a corruption-free administration. He spoke to Joshua Kojemensa on State of Affairs.
I wouldn't say that political connection plays a big role in what we are doing. Who is more connected than a state-owned agency? State housing is a state-owned agency. So if you are politically connected, we are the government. So if we are coming after you, pay and then we'll leave it as is. You know, I don't believe that political connections will color what we do. And I know that the president holds all of his appointees to a very, very high standard. I kid you not. It's a very, very high standard. The code of conduct is on my desk because I want to be sure that I don't fall foul because I know him. He will not hesitate to crack the whip on anybody.
A former NPP national chairman, Wintami Paul Afoko, is urging young Ghanaians to adopt the courage of nonconformists, warning that Ghana's progress depends on citizens bold enough to question decisions, challenge harmful norms, and resist societal pressure. Speaking at the 5th Dialogue Public Lecture in Accra, Paul Afoko said meaningful national transformation will not come from those who join the chorus, but from individuals who refuse to be intimidated by fear or power.
The youth, the future of our country. Please, may you keep Ghana's soul alive, please. May you speak up when silence is easier. To just see you keep quiet and walk away. No, if it needs that you speak up, but respectfully. May you have the courage to stand out when conformity is tempting. Just conform and go with the crowd. Please, may you have that courage and may you make an impact that will outlive your time on earth.
Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has welcomed the European Union's Global Gateway Initiative and its 150 billion euros investment pledge for Africa's sustainable development, particularly in green energy and digital transformation. Speaking on behalf of President John Dramani Mahama at the 7th AU-EU Summit in Angola, the Vice President called for a stronger regional action against violent extremism and deeper cooperation with Europe, placing security development and partnership at the center of Ghana's agenda.
Bilateralism marks 25 years of the AU-EU collaboration. The partnership aims to transform commitments into concrete projects, jobs, and improved security across the continent. Addressing heads of states, Ghana's Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, praised the African peace and security architecture as one of the continent's major achievements, but cautioned that climate shocks, political tensions, and rising piracy are intensifying humanitarian challenges. She pointed to the growing threats of extremist networks in West Africa and proposed a dedicated regional meeting to address the issue.
Indeed, West Africa contains its fair share of hope. This is a region of dynamic economies and breathtakingly creative, youthful energy. But it also faces growing threats. Extremist networks exploit poverty, exclusion, and shrinking natural resources. The way forward demands regional unity, a focus on the roots of insecurity, and community-based peace building.
Professor Opoku-Agyeman welcomed EU's Global Gateway Initiative and its 150 billion euros investment pledge for Africa's sustainable development, particularly in green energy and digital transformation.
We welcome the European Union's Global Gateway Initiative and its 150 billion euro pledge for Africa's sustainable development in green energy transitions and digital services. Ghana's other priorities include an EU waiver on offshore patrols, changing the essential parts of the Pond Hydro Dam, and support for the Dam Mongo water facility.
She also highlighted Ghana's recent economic gains, noting that inflation has eased and the cedi has stabilized as a result of reforms of fiscal governance and public financial management.
Ghana's fight against antimicrobial resistance, one of the world's fastest growing public health threats, has taken center stage at the police hospital, where health experts are warning that misuse of antibiotics is pushing the country towards a dangerous future. This week, the facility is rolling out a nationwide awareness drive as new data shows rising resistance to common drugs, threatening even the simplest treatment. There's more in this report.
Antimicrobial resistance, AMR, is quietly becoming one of the deadliest health threats of our time. Senior medical officers at the police hospital say Ghana is already feeling the impact. DCOP Dr. Samuel Ofori describes the situation as alarming, placing AMR among the top 3 causes of death globally. He says disciplined use of antibiotics is now a matter of life and survival.
We need to be very disciplined in using antibiotics so that we reduce resistance. We save lives by using antibiotics judiciously.
To strengthen the response, the police hospital has activated infection control teams and an acute antimicrobial surveillance unit, bringing doctors, pharmacists and laboratory scientists together to track bacteria and guide treatment. Coordinator of the hospital's AMR Awareness Week, ACP Thomas Opokudakwa, says resistance to common drugs is rising fast.
So if you're a mother, you ensure that when you come to the hospital and you are given antibiotics for your child, ensure that you complete the 7 days. Besides that, don't go to pharmacies and buy antibiotics on your own.
Throughout the week, the hospital provided training for health workers, school engagements and community outreach, including market sensitization and patient education at all service points. For the experts, the public remains a critical part of the solution.
What we are saying is that unnecessary use of antibiotics will not be helpful. And so that unnecessary demand, thinking that every time they come to hospital, doctors should give them antibiotics, is a no-no.
She adds that Ghana already has a strong national action plan on AMR, but more resources are needed to boost laboratories and strengthen surveillance across the country. The police hospital team says the battle can only be won through partnership between policymakers, health workers, and the public. Their message is clear. Act now so that the antibiotics that save lives today can still protect the generations to come.
Let's have some business news now.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
And in business, Managing Director of the State Housing Company Limited, GHOne Bauer, says the recently announced revenue mobilization drive by the company is targeted at recouping millions owed them by individuals and institutions. State Housing Company recently announced a 15% discount on all debt owed the company, a move management says has become necessary to keep the company viable. GHOne Bauer explained more to Joshua Kojamensa on State of Affairs.
So we kind of settled on 15%, which it's like giving up a little to get a lot. If we're leaving about 50% of money that is due to the company on the table, it makes sense to give something small to get the majority back. I mean, this is a concept that works in all industries. And so we decided to embark on a revenue mobilization campaign, which not only focused on encouraging people who are already our tenants to come and pay, but also to marry it with a broader educational awareness campaign, which is similar to what I'm sitting here doing. Right. Previously, you wouldn't have that. But what it helps to do is people get to understand a bit more what their roles and responsibilities are as leaseholders. And we believe that with that approach, they would come up and do the right thing and help mobilize the company.
Well, in some business stories, the government has extended an invitation to ECOWAS and other countries on the continent to purchase excess grain in Ghana to salvage the food glut farmers are facing currently. This was after the government spent some 100 million cedis to purchase portions of the grains for the buffer stock, which farmers described as a drop in the ocean. Speaking during government's accountability series, Minister for Food and Agriculture Eric Opoku highlighted steps the government is putting in place to have the grains purchased from the farmers to avert wastage.
During the beginning of the season, we anticipated that there will be glut on the market, but we were unable to anticipate the quantum of glut. And that is why, for the first time in our 2025 budget, we provided for 100 million to enable buffer stock step into the market to buy the excess. That 100 million was exhausted within 3 days. In fact, when I visited the buffer stock warehouses, I saw the grains, the rice, the maize, the gari, all there. And we still have so much on the market to clear. We informed His Excellency the President, and he's made available additional 200 million. So buffer stock is now going through the procurement processes. It's government money. You can't just step into the market, put the money in your pocket, and then start buying. So they are going through the processes. When they are done, they will get the licensed buyers to be on the field to buy the excess for them. We have also spoken to WFP. They are talking to their counterparts in other areas to see what they can do to mop up the excesses. We have also invited ECOWAS because they also have a responsibility to maintain strategic reserves against emergencies. So ECOWAS will be meeting me tomorrow to see what plans they have to also be part of the process. We are also speaking to our colleague ministers in West Africa and then Africa. Some of them have shortages and they want to see what they can do to buy to support their storage of cereals in those areas. But this is the first time we have experienced such situations, glut in over 2 or 3 decades.
Let's have a conversation on this matter. We are joined by the Deputy General Secretary for the General Agricultural Workers Union, GHOne, Dr. Pascal Ajamba. Good to have you on the program. What are your initial thoughts on government's position on this?
Yes, good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, we think that it's a good initiative in itself. However, we should focus more on the domestic grown initiatives that tackle our issues domestically. For instance, this issue is a Ghanaian issue before it can become an ECOWAS issue or a West Africa or Africa issue. And so what are the interventions, the direct interventions the government is putting in place to ensure that this glut issue becomes a thing of the past? For instance, even if you want to even bring in the ECOWAS issue, you should know that somewhere in 2018, I think Ghana borrowed some grains from the ECOWAS. What that means is that if Ghana has to pay back those grains to ECOWAS, what it means, government of Ghana has to buy those grains from the farmers to give it to ECOWAS. So it means that in itself, these are some direct market in terms of 26,000 tons. So if that initiative alone, at least 26 to 27,000 tons should go. Now, if we even talk about the buffer stock issue, as we talk right now, most of the farmers or the people who are producing and have the excess, some people have not even harvested. And it's difficult seeing the synergy between buffer stock and the people on the ground because we don't know where they are buying the grains from, yet the farmers are still complaining that they have the grains of them. So we don't know where those grains, which buffer stock is buying, they are buying them from. That's the issue. So I think that the direct interventions should be, especially the one which the Minister of Finance announced in terms of ensuring that schools and hospitals use domestically produced grains, those ones should be intensified. Saying that if at least those purchases are done, we can see a certain shift in terms of some of the grains going out from the warehouses of the farmers.
So in essence, you're saying that resorting to ECOWAS it's far-fetched, right? Instead of the government should adopt domestic ways to tackle the issue. In essence, that's what you're saying.
Exactly. And what government needs to do is that with the relevant stakeholders, and let's see how do you see it. Over the years, we've always been talking about this thing. That government gets up, decide on decisions, decide on policies, and go ahead and start rolling them out with the certain of the relevant stakeholders to see what is the win-win situation. What should we do? We know the farmers. We have the database of all the farmers. We know what quantity which farmer has and what quantity which farmer has. So once we sit down, we can come into it, and then we know how you should produce, pick those produce from, and where you should get it from. But most of the times, government just gets up, they talk among themselves, and then they come out of the issues, and then they start implementing. Without directly contacting with the stakeholders to see how the issue can be tackled. For instance, this ECOWAS thing, when we have domestically grown interventions, we have not exhausted that, then we are jumping to ECOWAS.
Well, you seem to sound like governments didn't consult you before making this decision. Is that a case?
Yes, in terms of ECOWAS, no, government didn't consult us in terms of it.
Right. Give us a picture of how serious and dire the situation is. I mean, you work directly with the farmers out there.
Yes, as we talk, in fact, when we talk of rice, for instance, most of the farmers are even refusing to harvest their rice. So this is even what we have. We have over 300,000 tons in excess wasted. That is rice alone. Maize, about 200,000 tons, which is wasted. And some of them have not even harvested. So if they then go ahead and harvest, you can imagine the situation we have at our hand. This is what they've already harvested, which is in store. And they have not yet had market for it. So because of that, farmers are refusing to harvest their rice on the field. Because if you harvest it, you have no place to even store it, then to talk of selling it. That's how dire the situation is.
Quite concerning. Thank you so much, Dr. Pascal Ajomba. He's the Deputy General Secretary for the Agricultural Workers Union. That brings us to the end of business here. Up next is sports.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Now, many thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. I am Monica Bukari. In volleyball, the SAC Super Volleyball Championship came to a close on Sunday with Nigeria Customs women's team winning the trophy in the final against Ghana Air Force team. Coach of the side, Suleiman Olayinka, has expressed his excitement, saying that they were given a marching order, and that was to come to Ghana and explore to also bring the trophy back to Nigeria.
You know, just like they said, for you to take 2 steps, you need to start with 1 step. Of course, Africa as a whole, we are getting there gradually. It's a work in progress for us in Africa, and I want to believe that with this kind of championship and other championship, like Nigeria also, we have some other big championship that is coming up. If we can be able to harness all of these championships together, I'm sure in the next couple of years, African will lead the world. That I can assure you in volleyball.
Now, the Air Force team coach, however, has admitted that Ghana Prison Service team was a force to reckon with, but was quick to say that they look forward to next season's Zone 3 game, noting that they have learnt their lessons.
It's rather unfortunate that, like you said, we lost it. We accept that we lose because I think they were a better side than us. Yes, we are going to correct it. We still have another opportunity to meet them, if possible. Next year, there's Zone 3 games. Yes, surely if they come, we have learned so much lesson here, and I'm sure the Zone 3 games are going to pull a whole lot of surprises to the world.
Away from that, the 5th league phase fixture for Chelsea and the UEFA Champions League competition sees Enzo Maresca's side come up against Spanish giant Barcelona this evening. And ahead of the game, the Chelsea coach says with 7 points gained out of possible 12, they are poised to win this game.
Yeah, as a player I always said that was the easy goal in my life in terms of we were winning 2-0 and the penalty was in the 96 minutes and there were 6 extra minutes. So that was an easy one. A nice feeling, but now it's completely different thing. They are an unbelievable team. But again, we're going to try our best to win the game.
And the Barcelona manager Hansi Flick, who has survived Pedri's absence through injury so far in strong fashion with 3 victories and a draw in their 4 subsequent games, says he is happy to be getting players back with Frankie de Jong, Marcus Rashford, Rafinha and Joan Garcia all available to lock horns with Chelsea.
I think it's every game is different. But at the end, I'm really happy to play against Chelsea because we can show how good we are, and we'll see. It's a good test about all the training we have. We see the team is improving a lot the last weeks, and we are happy with this. And also some players are coming back. This is the good news. Frankie is coming back. Marcus is back from his cold. Rafa maybe can play more minutes, and next week or this week at the end, I hopefully also Pedri will come back, and of course GHOne Garcia. GHOne Garcia is back, and these are the good things. So now we are starting, I think, the next step, but it's the same. We train always very focused, very with a high quality, and very hard. And at the end, we have to show in the match, like against Chelsea, how good we are.
And that's all for sports. I am Monica Bukai. Do stay tuned. International news is up.
Front, Tanzania has cancelled independence celebration with the funds to be spent instead on rebuilding infrastructure damaged in recent election unrest. The announcement comes as the opposition and others have been calling for people to gather on Independence Day, that is the 9th of December, to demonstrate about killings that took place following last month's disputed poll. The opposition believes hundreds of people died in the crackdown. The government has yet to give a death toll and has set up a commission of inquiry. The president won the poll with 98% of the vote, described by the opposition as a mockery of democracy. Election observers have since reported signs that the vote was manipulated and fell short of democratic standards. The government had imposed an internet blackout for 5 days from the 29th October election day and threatened anyone sharing photos from the protest. And that brings us to the end of Newsroom here on GH1 Television. With me, Awusi Dede Jangi. Have a wonderful afternoon.